Now I wonder what's going to take longer. The development of the new Pokemon theme park, or its time actually being open. Believe it or not, the idea of a PokePark has been around longer than the game. In the late years of Gen 3, PokePark was open for the spring and summer of 2005 in Japan, and summer of 2006 in Taiwan. There was even a fishing tie-in game for the DS. Nowadays, we have PokePark Kanto to look forward to. If you actually live in Sunrise Land. Us in the West were always stuck with this dumb game. In 2009 for Japan, 2010 for everyone else, around the same time as Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver, PokePark Wii Pikachu's Adventure was released to the applause of no one. 2010 was a big year for both Pokemon fans and Wii owners. Galaxy 2, Epic Mickey, Kirby's Epic Yarn, DKC Returns, Sonic Colors, the aforementioned Johto remakes for us, and the start of Gen 5 in Japan. With all that going on, why would you want to play a point-and-click in 3D? Well, in my case, this game came out when I didn't know what fire alarms were, so I got the game at what was arguably the perfect time in my life for me to enjoy it. Age 9. Old enough to know what I'm doing, young enough to not see past the obvious demographic. Of course, as a budding adult now, I'm willing to admit that this game is clearly just meant for those who think the main games are too edgy. But what if I played it anyway? Man, I just love this loading interlude. Would be just a shame if it was repeated infinitely. This game records playtime even when you're on the home menu. I can't justify that file with anything else. I'm choosing to give Pikachu a concussion. Getting into the game, we have Pikachu and his token friends playing around in Token Town. Mew suddenly appears and creates a hole. Piplup, probably fresh off the heels of Undertale Yellow, finds his chance to reference Toby Fox. Now that we're all dead from a 200,000-foot fall, we can begin hallucinating the game's events. For real though, how do we survive this and why don't we ever go home? Mew explains through a dream that the sky prism that keeps the Sky Pavilion afloat has shattered, and it's up to us to collect the pieces and bring them back. Why did it shatter in the first place? Beats me. Why is Mew trusting a Pokemon weaker than a D's nuts joke to stop a meteor strike on this giant theme park? Because Pikachu! Chatot, who very conveniently happens to be this game's guide, finds us in the forest and shows us the ropes. We move Pikachu with the D-pad, dash with the 1 button, jump and interact with the 2 button, and press A to shock things. Yes, a 3D game with a D-pad. It's never fun when you don't have an analog stick, but PokePark fortunately doesn't ask for much. Like, at all. Oh, you want me to jump?
Smoke weed every day.
After being forced to jump, Chatot introduces us to skill games, menial minigames that you partake in to make friends. And if chase is any indication, very counterintuitive minigames at that. You're telling me that Chatot wants to be our friend because we violently headbutted him while he was running away? Following that, we need to shock this Snorlax so we can pass, and Chatot gives us a not Pokedex to record our friends in. After ignoring this sign, we enter the PokePark, and its first zone, the Meadow Zone. A tranquil place with some nice scenery. Being a late arrival on the Wii, the game looks pretty good for the system. This is upscaled though. I sadly don't have a frame of reference for original hardware since my physical copy is lost to Dialga's mouth. Ah, now that's why Dialga and Palkia are carved into the rock but never mentioned. We find Chikorita, yet she can't actually play any attractions here. Attractions? Oh, these are minigames that act like boss fights and that they're mandatory to do well in for a Prism piece. Our first attraction is Bulbasaur's Daring Dash, which we played despite it apparently being illegal. I wonder who I should choose. Bulbasaur's Daring Dash is a typical shake fest. Yeah, I found a better way to do it this time. Very convenient for Bulbasaur to also have Mew inhabit his dream. While the attraction was going on, I finished in like 7 seconds. How did Bulbasaur fall asleep during that time? And since when could Mew inhabit dreams anyway? Don't we have dream-oriented Pokemon already? One of them is in the game! It's Darkrai. Hi, Darkrai. Right after we get what we need, Trico and Mankey pull a Folly and Trudely on our butts by kidnapping Chikorita. This is why no one reminisces about starting with Trico!
Except Michael. Sorry.
If Turtwig receives the bonus in Bulbasaur's Daring Dash, I'll let you cross!
You Bowsered my friend for breaking the attraction rule, and you're making me break it again to save her. Allergic.
He's so slow that I don't think that's possible.
Trico, bro, don't be so mean about that! Even if it's true. We violently headbutt Turtwig and make him our friend. Pal, if you know you're gonna be friends, why don't we skip the chase? Then go back to... You see, every Pokemon in an attraction has a specific threshold to reach for a sizable berry bonus, with berries being the currency here. Spoiler alert, it's easier to reach it than it is to stay up past 3 AM. Because of this, I chose to hold off on saving for retirement in this playthrough, like I usually do. These are why you want to make friends. Pikachu, despite being the player character, f***ing sucks at attractions, so you shirk your responsibilities onto better Pokemon. Or worse ones in the case of Turtwig here. Trico! You're barely any better! I would just like to preface that I have no ill will towards Trico and consider it and its evolutions a very solid line of grass starters. That you shouldn't choose in any Gen 3 challenge runs unless you want to breed for egg moves. You also get some berries for making friends, and berries as a currency confuses me. It makes sense because this is an all-animal society. Problem is, what if a Pokemon gets hungry but needs to pay for an attraction? Berries usually come from crates, and we're the only ones who smash them. Do poor Pokemon need to wait for me to do attractions so crates respawn for them? And even then, they still won't reap the benefits because I'm the only one who can smash them. Now that Trico's stubbornness finally relents, I can go on to not rescue Chikorita. You see, making friends is the name of the game. Whether it be through run fests, real-time battles that make me wish the main series did this but more in-depth, hide and seek, fetch quests, or the very rare quiz. Making friends with certain Pokemon causes others to appear, and this is how you fill out the not Pokedex. That said, I grind out friendships whenever possible, which does, of course, include this asshole Trico.
No wonder you stood up to Venusaur!
Bro, I haven't even crossed the bridge yet. My approach to the game usually ignores most thresholds the game has. You see, there are times where the game checks up on how you're doing. These times are few and far between, of course, and if it weren't for speedrunners, yes, people speedrun PokePark, I wouldn't know how many are needed. Out of the 193 Pokemon that are available, you only need 80 to finish the game, and more than a few Pokemon are automatic, like Omochatot, your old friends, Carvanha and Sharpedo, Abra, Pokemon that are mandatory to face, Pokemon that are mandatory to help. 42 Pokemon are mandatory, in fact. That's over halfway to the minimum for the end already. Speaking of that last one, taking some time to do the Lord's work is kind of fun because it causes our Lord to duplicate with a fun jingle. Mankey introduces us to our first battle, or he would have if I didn't fight Lotad earlier.
He's just standing there. Stupidly!
You'll be surprised by my speed!
And yet she's still faster than Magikarp in Bulbasaur's attraction. Which doesn't make sense, by the way! Yeah, one thing you'll find with the attractions is that their idea of skill is based more around biology rather than stats. Well, that Weedle's dead. Finally, I stopped stalling and go to Venusaur's gate. Krogunk, what the f*** are you doing? In order to prove ourselves worthy of rescuing Chikorita, we need to beat up this drunkard that made us pay 200 berries to enter only to backpedal a second later, karmic justice, and best this Spearo's obstacle hop, the only platforming challenges you'll really get. Damn, so difficult. You see, Venusaur's an overprotective parent. After arguing with some of the other zone keepers, he decided to make attractions and zone crossing illegal for safety reasons. Okay, first of all, that's kidnapping. I didn't even ask for this to be the first zone. Second of all, you're telling me that it's safe to electrocute and violently headbutt anyone I so desire, but it's not safe to... We pressure Venusaur into letting us do his attraction, Venusaur's Vine Swing. take the long jump from Mario and Sonic, remove the running, and give it DK Jungle Arcade aesthetics. Now that Venusaur is willing to let up on us, I'm gonna befriend this Leafeon.
Hey, you bag! I want a rematch!
Oh boy, now it's Torterra. I hope I don't... Oh. First, Leafeon forces us to have friends, then humiliates us. Yes, some Pokemon have prereqs before you can take a shot at them. No one demands more than 90 friends, and only 2 Pokemon in the latter half of the game ask for such. I had 90 during the Cavern Zone. Others require you to not lose for 5 skill games in a row. It's a kiddie game, I only lose when my dash isn't upgraded enough like with Leafeon, or when I entered the Iceberg Zone. Finally, some may only show up after a specific event. Good for them. Jumping during a dash apparently still counts as a hit. Who knew? I've only just left the first zone and this is the 14th loading screen I've seen. The meeting place here is effectively a central hub, introducing you to Drifblim fast travel that starts cheap, gets cheaper, and becomes free after enough uses, a photo station that tries to be Pokemon Snap but is ultimately pointless, ignore that I took 3 anyway, and Pokemon that will upgrade your stats.
Why don't you come in?
I never did. We want to train those who wish to make the PokePark great again. Electabuzz? Please. Rephrase. Our next stop is the Beach Zone, with a tyrannical Gyarados trying to assert himself as leader. I've elected to ignore it for several minutes. I didn't even mean to do that! He tried to take down and he used Final Gambit instead. Now we try to cross this bridge.
I want to give someone a quiz, and that's why I'm blocking the way.
The bridge is as wide as my ass, Corsola. We can walk around you very easily. The accuracy towards the main games is immaculate. Feraligatr needs us to deal with Gyarados, and both Piplup and Wynaut are trapped on the island. Wait, so why doesn't Piplup just swim Wynaut across the water? It's not at all far. And how does he even know about Bidoof in the Meadow Zone? Well, speaking of Bidoof, we have to do the Lord's work again. Or we would if we didn't have Simpfish getting in our way. They won't let us build any bridges until we clear Pelipper's Circle Circuit. Since you can't fly, I bet you can't do it. I can do this because of the passwords. You can enter them from the menu. I already told that guy Celebi's 580687773 code. The codes, which you can easily find on the internet, and 2 of which are given to you by the game and manual respectively, hence my memorization of the 2, do one of 2 things. Most of them will spawn a mythical Pokemon that is willing to try and assert its dominance once you beat the game, more on them later. The last few will give Pikachu some items for the attractions he normally can't do, like balloons for flying, a surfboard for swimming, nice Pokemon Yellow references by the way, and a snowboard for... sliding. I still don't get this. If Glaceon can stand up straight, Lapras can lie with a flat bottom, and Teddiursa can ironically set its ass on fire, why can't Pikachu slide without a snowboard? In this attraction, you... swim for all the rings! Marlin, it's flying! Will you get it right for once? Yeah, you fly through rings for points. Think Manta Rings from Mario Party 4, but with motion controls and no button mashing. It's pretty good, I guess. Now we do the Lord's work, the Size Lord's work, and deny the self-proclaimed Beach Lord of his idea. Then, I'll rule the PokePark! What do you think of that, eh? Good luck with that. Gyarados' Aqua Dash is a simpler Mario Kart. Fun for what it is, I'd say. Now that a little bit of surfing has convinced Gyarados to back off, Feraligatr shatters the boulder blocking the way to the cave.
I've never met you. That's a balloon and you can fly it.
Such dialogue is pristine. Just like the Iceberg Zone. It's quite pretty here. It's also home to its fair share of fetch quests, whether it be helping Glalie build some igloos to attract Frostlass, building up this ice tree to make more friends, or giving the sire a gift after getting Prinplup to let us take the chairlift. Oh hey, I made the same rhyme as before, just like Frostlass does when we ask her to freeze the lake after she comes back. Why do we need her to freeze the lake? Well, the gate's frozen and Mamoswine is the only one strong enough to break it open. How'd he get frozen when he's an ice type? How'd he get across the lake? Is it even worth asking? Oh no, guys, I can't see. Whatever will I do? The ice tree brings you more potential friends the more you develop it, including... Is that Squirtle? Squirtle, can we be friends? A battle? Well, if it'll make us friends.
Play with me again, come on!
Much obliged. By giving Pikachu some classic head trauma, we can get Mamoswine to open the gate. Now, if you thought Venusaur was sad, listen to Empoleon. Listen to me. Steel Will is a strong mind, unaffected by joy or sorrow. It remains constant, just like steel. That day, the day when my best friends Venusaur and Blaziken, when they turned against me, I realized my weakness. So, in the depths of sadness and anger, I chose to close this gate. I chose to close the gate and toughen my mind. Crawling in my skin. To make Empoleon get over himself, we go through his attraction. I'm so sorry, Squirtle! Empoleon's snow slide is very similar to Gyarados' Aqua Dash, only no button to accelerate this time. I like it a little more for the music. The soundtrack as a whole isn't amazing, but there are some surprise smashes. Many of the attractions come to mind, along with the PokePark entrance, the primary battle theme I guess, and one theme drove itself into my head immediately. We're at the 28th loading screen now. Chikorita, how are you doing this? The tree is like 21 times your size. Now that the Iceberg Zone has been 100%ed, yes, this is the first one you can fully complete, we enter the Cavern Zone, but first... I've mastered Iron Tail without a tail. Do you know what that means? Yeah, you use Iron Tail with your dip. The Cavern Zone has a lot of interconnected events, starting with Mr. Mime at the beginning lamenting over a missing rail piece. What do I do about it? Ignore it completely. You can do the one attraction here immediately as long as you have 50 friends. Bastiodon's Block Barrage is just Breakout. A game of Breakout that's incredibly easy to rack up points in. Look at Torchic's record here. He's the worst at the event. Let that sink in. Back to the plot. We either hear from Zubat that Auron might have messed with the rail, or ignore Zubat and find that Auron has something to say anyway. Once we feed him some iron ore, he reveals that Mawile chewed it off. Apparently it's because she's freakishly obsessed with the zone. She gave it to Dugtrio, who hid it in Marowak's berry storage, and Diglett from there hid it under Snorlax. One Thunderbolt later, and we get blasted. Now that we have the rail back, we can just get the minecart back from a naughty Gibble and move on. After friend grinding, of course. Gold! Now we can enter the Lava Zone. The zone kinda drags, not gonna lie. The focus here is on Hitmontop's drill and Camerup's furnace. You take iron ore or gold nuggets from the former to the latter to make in the rods or tops. You need a rod to activate this switch, a top for Rhyperior's attraction, and specifically a gold top to be Hitmontop's friend. Golem's also here if you need berries. So what's the problem? Well, Pikachu being slower when carrying things, and trying to get to the furnace is like choosing between a minefield and the rock tunnel. Going left has these asshole Torkoals that get in your way, and you can't go right until you've deactivated both fire jets in the zone. And it's longer. On the bright side, Charmander is here. And Groudon. Hi, Groudon. You don't have to do Rhyperior's attraction immediately. So I didn't. I friend grinded first. How is this attraction? Well, let me put it like this.
Let's fight an epic battle. Face off and spin the metal. No time for doubt now. No place for backing down.
Instead of an overbearing parent or a sad boy, we have someone I can actually kind of get behind. Blaziken is amassing an army and collecting prison pieces himself, so it's just us but dominant. We don't like dominance, however, so we kick Charmander's shit in so he can listen to us. His idea, not mine. As such, our next action is Blaziken's Boulder Bash. Pretty simple rhythm game, actually. Now on our 46th loading screen, we've reunited all of our friends and the zone leaders. However, no one has a clue how to reach the Sky Pavilion, especially since the balloon needs work. The camera woman, as a result, points us toward the haunted zone. But first, I upgrade my... Double Dash? Look at all this real estate we never touch. We can't actually enter the haunted house until we clear Tangrove Swing Along. It's the Vine Swing, but made into a race. I cheesed it.
Welcome! You are the 999th visitor to the marvelous Haunted Zone.
And this is the 50th loading screen. The haunted house is the real meat of the zone. Meat that's hard to cut because, god damn it, Pikachu gets caught on the furniture when dashing just frequently enough to be annoying. Somehow it doesn't impact me much when I'm bashing heads with the power of Mario Kart. We're able to make a good amount of friends here, but most of the Haunted Zone Pokemon are locked attending the party, only accessible by clearing Dusknoir Speed Slam. Using this hall that was created just for the attraction, according to the background... Wait a minute. This actually hurts my arm after long enough. Finally entering the party room, we find that the piano is broken. We drag some of Spinarak's thread over, and with no other problems to take care of, we have to find Rotom after he entered the library and disappeared. Can we call Sableye befriending us after we steal his book Narrative Gameplay Dissonance? Oh look, a key on the book. Clever! Rotom here is in the basement, holding the last attraction here. A 360-degree endless shooting gallery. Simple stuff. So naturally, it's the hardest attraction for Pikachu to reach the goal in. With Rotom found, Miss May just points us in the direction of the Granite Zone. So after more friendship grinding, of course, we head for the one area that actually tries to make you platform. Kind of. This is actually my favorite zone. Ancient Ruins just have an effect on me. So of course Absol tries to take it away! Did you know that trying to time the 2 press while doing this is really difficult? Forget hand cars, let's emphasize arm straining instead! Music does slap. In order to proceed, we need the 3 secret words. You can't really miss them. After passing by Blastoise here, we only have one option. Jump across these stones to open the door, and let Spamton here quiz us for the first word, love. I didn't even mean to make that an Undertale joke, it just happened. The second one, Peace, belongs to Togekiss, who gives us an obstacle hop after we cross this rope cart. And pass by Jirachi. Hi, Jirachi. The third one, Rainbow, was with Snorlax the whole time. Also, Mawile finally likes us. Yippee! Now we have the next attraction, Salamance's Air Ace. It's Pelipper's Circle Circuit again, but with target shooting instead of rings. The only place left is the Secret Flower Zone, birthchild of the Meadow and Granite Zones. The final zone, the 69th loading screen. Nice. No one battles here, and there really isn't much at all. Small area, the new Pokemon can fit on 2 hands, and the main thing we need to do isn't even here. It's grabbing a mirror from the finished treehouse and bringing it to the dais for Rayquaza to appear. He holds the last attraction, and the most in-depth one too. First, you walk across the balloon, getting rings and such, then shoot targets that Drifloon, Drifblim, and Rayquaza hold out. Pretty fun.
None can succeed with all the attractions all by themselves.
Brother, the only time I used somebody other than Pikachu was when I had to. With all the prism pieces gathered, we just need to water this flower so Shaman can guide us and our friends in their patched up balloon to the Sky Pavilion. Wait, but Aerodactyl says that he stops anyone trying to reach the pavilion from the sky.
Why the fuck you lying?
Being a prankster, Mew disguises himself as Piplup when we arrive, so we have to call his bluff first. Priorities, Mew. This place is gonna collapse and the Pokemon below are fighting even though we can't see them. Seriously, Shaman, how could you possibly have seen that? We're finally here. Mew is all we need left to fix the Sky Prism. I went back to befriend Blaziken. And Blossom. And finish maxing out Pikachu stats. Now we're finally here! Mew is all we need left to fix the Sky Prism if we ignore that I overshot by like 96 Pokemon. And his skill game is three-pronged. First, an obstacle hop. These have never been challenging. Second, a battle with Magmortar, Garchomp, and Tyranitar. I never took a hit. Finally, a chase with triumphant music and uneven terrain meant to and it's over. The prism is restored, fireworks light the skies, everyone is happy, and my true suffering begins. You see, there are 193 Pokemon to befriend in the game, but the most you can get before the ending is 177. We know who 3 of the stragglers are since Mew turned into them, and they appear after we get back to the game. But only 4 of the other 13 are visible, and that's due to passwords. Well, each attraction has gotten a new player. A player that's better than everyone else. Mew arrives for Bulbasaur's Daring Dash, but the other 13 are unlocked by getting the bonus for everyone in that attraction. That means at least 16 times of swinging, 16
Swim for all the rings!
32 Mario Kart rounds, 16 games of overscoring in Breakout. We still have 12 Pokemon to go. 16 Beyblade fights. This flex barely means anything given this game's number of fans. 16 easy rhythm games where I maxed out my points with 3/4 of the Pokemon for the 3rd time. 16 cheesings. Enough said. 16 ghost shooting galleries. Man, Rotom's packing heat. I mean, I'm about to maximize my score. Porygon Z didn't even get close to that, and he's the next best one. 16 target shots. 16 target shots on the balloon. And... 58 rounds of... Now, I should specify. Getting all the bonuses in Bulbasaur's Daring Dash is optional since Mew is already befriended, and the new best Pokemon for each attraction also doesn't mean much. But I'm a completionist, damn it. Even with making all the friends you can immediately, PokePark is still only a 6-hour adventure. Doing the bare minimum will cut that time in half, with 9 minutes of that stemming from the 63 mandatory loading screens. Simplistic or not, it feels wrong for PokePark to have a shorter completion time than Super Mario Bros. 3. Let me tell you something. They're scaling to the available Pokemon in an attraction. They get better and better, and I like to reflect that by doing better with each Pokemon. Kinda hard to do that with Dusknoir's Speed Slam here, since the Pokemon aren't always faster the further you go. The Ghost types are much slower but don't slow down from the walls, and the obstacles aren't the same every time. I'm convinced Duskull and Misdreavus swapped places in development. This hurts to look at! Absol's Hurdle Bounce stays the same every time, but I deliberately had to hold back with Infernape for my precious progression. I'm a Spurg, I need my numbers a certain way, leave me alone. I'm surprised how I got away with it for Tangrove Swing Along considering the ease of cheesing it. You get to befriend Celebi for that. Hi Celebi. Behold, the only game where a Pikachu can defeat a Groudon at max power. And also lose to Darkrai at the same time even though Darkrai can get shocked and has less HP. Once everyone is your friend, you can head back to Mew and get a bonus ending. This probably wasn't worth my aching arms. Yeah, PokePark is clearly for the young crowd. And only the young crowd. The entire game is just running around doing menial tasks to make friends, broken up by the occasional bigger minigame here and there, all wrapped up in a story that tells more than shows and is drowning in Sonic Forces cheese. But if there's one thing I have to give it, it's that it's charming. Even with 2 Pokemon Snap games in the Mystery Dungeon series I still haven't played, PokePark is always the first thing I think of for Pokemon living without human influence. It's cute seeing them walk around, chase each other, be happy, try to murder me. Not all of the attractions are flops. Most of them are actually fun for what they are, some of them even reaching Mario Party levels of quality. And I really only have a problem with the... ones. I'll admit it, I've got a bit of nostalgic attachment towards this game. It's no masterclass spin-off, but I feel there's no harm in occasionally revisiting it and pretending that it's actually good, and not just a shallow adventure game that reminds me of walking around massive theme parks, where the occasional bout of excitement disrupts a day of just walking. And walking. But if you don't include the lines for rides, walking around a theme park didn't make me sit through roughly 355 loading screens, 248 of them coming from bonus grinding every attraction. Averaging out at 9 seconds a loading screen, that comes out to nearly an hour of my nearly 16-hour save file just waiting for something to happen. Yes, I kept count. Be lucky they weren't Sonic 06 length! Okay, you're up next.
You can't escape me forever, you know.